Hi, I'm Sam, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about paid search reporting and the platforms that you can use in order to make your PPC reporting better. So to start with, I'm going to go a bit back to basics because the amount of AdWords campaigns that I see that aren't actually set up for reporting properly is crazy. So I thought we'd go through some of the basics first before we look at some of the kind of useful reports that I use on a day-to-day basis. So the first thing is making sure that your AdWords account is tagged and linked correctly. And these are the 4 things that we need to look at. So Google Analytics is the first thing. If you haven't got your Analytics account linked to your AdWords account, you're missing out on so much valuable data. So make sure that that one is linked as a kind of priority. Next up is Webmaster Tools. Now, this is a relatively new feature that allows you to incorporate some of the organic data that you get with the paid data. I have got a bit more on that report a little bit later on, but make sure that you're linking the two together. One tip here is that if you, I would always link the www version and the non-www version of your website so that you can get the maximum amount of data as you can within your AdWords account. Next up is auto tagging. Now this is something that should automatically be switched on by default, but I do see some accounts that don't have this switched on. This is a setting within your AdWords account that basically tells AdWords to tag each of your destination URLs automatically so that the data can be pulled into your Analytics account properly. If you don't have this done, you kind of still get data within Analytics, but you don't get the amount of data that you kind of really need. So make sure that that one's gone and switched on. And then finally, if you're running any other paid search campaigns, whether it's on Bing or Facebook, for example, you can use the campaign URL builder so that you can tag each of those campaigns with specific metrics so that you can actually see that data within Google Analytics. Otherwise, if you don't do this, a lot of the time it gets lumped under the core referrer, so whether it's Bing, Facebook, whatever. So using this will actually allow you to tag them up properly and see the data. Next up is conversion tracking. Now there's 4 types of conversion tracking that AdWords allow for you. The first being the standard web tracking, which the majority of the time you'll kind of want to have some form of web tracking in place. Simply need a piece of code on the thank you page of your website that renders every time somebody either clicks on one of your PPC ads and then completes the desired goal or action. And then that pings as a conversion within your AdWords account. Next up is call tracking. So this can be useful if you're running like a call center or something where you get most of your conversions actually happen when people pick up the phone. Having the call tracking in place, every time somebody clicks on the ad and then calls the number that's on your website, it will ping and tell AdWords that you actually had a conversion, so you can actually see how many calls are being generated off the back of your AdWords account. Next up is the app tracking. So if you've got a mobile or a tablet app that you're wanting to push via your AdWords campaign, you can use this form of tracking so that you can see how many downloads of that particular app you get. One cool thing is if you've got an app in the Google Play Store, it's really, really easy to set up. You've just got to take the URL for the app, ping that into your conversion tracking, and it will automatically start tracking it for you. If you've got an app registered somewhere else, whether it's like an iPhone app or whatever, it does take a little bit more work to set it up, but the functionality is there if you need it. And then finally is offline tracking. Now this is again something that's quite new from AdWords, but it's a brilliant piece of kit if you kind of got a need for that. So if you've got people that come onto your website and then convert offline, so whether it's via phone call or whether they come into a physical shop location or whatever it is they do, you can pull that data and import that back into your AdWords account so that you can see the customer journey from start to finish, from when they've clicked on an ad to when they've actually converted. So really useful piece of conversion tracking there. The conversion window is something that AdWords set up, I'm not sure how many months ago now, but it's relatively new. Previously, when somebody converted on your AdWords campaign, if they hadn't visited the site within 30 days after the first time they clicked before they converted, it would be registered as a new conversion. So let's say, for example, you visit an ad on the 2nd of the month, and then you come back on the 15th of the following month. The ad that triggered that conversion would not be shown as the first one because of the 30-day conversion window that was there before. Now, what AdWords allow you to do now is to actually increase that to 90 days. So you've got a 90-day conversion window. So whenever you're setting up a new campaign, I'd always recommend that you set it up with the 90-day conversion window. After 90 days, I'd go into the time lag report, which is in the search funnels reporting. So you can actually see how long it's taken people from the minute they click on your ad to the minute they convert. And if that's anywhere between, well, however long it is, you can then go in and change your conversion window to match what your typical customer journey looks like and how long they typically take to convert. And then finally, I want to look at some useful reports. There's a whole world of reports out there on AdWords and analytics that you really need to get to kind of grips with. So here's some of my favourites. So we've got the paid and organic report, which comes off the back of linking your Webmaster Tools account. So if you don't see this report, make sure this is linked and then it will start to appear. You do need some time to kind of accrue the data in there, so the sooner you can get that linked, the better. And what this basically allows you to do is see how your PPC ads are being shown in the search listings and whether you've got organic listings on that same page. So it's really useful for two things, really. You can either use it for discovering new keywords. So it might be that you've got a listing on page 1 for a particular term and you're only appearing organically in, say, position 8 for that term. You might look at that and think, okay, well, let's give it a go and let's try and put that particular keyword in your AdWords campaign. Let's bid it up and let's see what it does in a higher position. It might be that it works really well and you can get some extra business from it. If not, then you can switch it back off and just rely on your organic listing that's already currently sat there. You can also use it for testing. So if you're currently in position 1 for a keyword organically and you're in position 1 in terms of the paid listing as well, you could try and bid down on the paid listing to see whether you would then capture the traffic that you were previously getting from your PPC listing and see whether it goes into organic. So a really useful set of reporting there. Next up are the day of the week and the hour of the day reports. Now, I use both of these. I use the day of the week report within Google Analytics because the interface allows you to kind of look at the data a lot better. And I use hour of the day within AdWords. So you want to use the day of the week to see which campaigns are performing on which days of the week. Quite obvious, really. You could have a day of the week, let's say your Saturday was performing really, really well, and you're getting lots of conversions at a low CPA versus a Wednesday isn't performing well for you at all. It's costing you a lot of money and it's not converting. You may then take the decision to either pause that AdWords campaign on a Wednesday or reduce the budget on a Wednesday and then push the rest of that budget into the Saturday that you know is converting well for you. You can then switch over to the hour of the day report within AdWords and look at that particular campaign on that particular day of the week and see whether there's any particular time periods that are either converting well for you or not converting. And then you can use the bid adjustments to either bid higher, bid lower, pause it, whatever you want to do in the times that aren't converting well for you, so that you're spending the money, the core bit of your budget, on the areas that are, and in the times that are actually converting for you. The next up is the location report. So if you're targeting the entire UK, for example, or the US, whatever country it is you're targeting, you can look at the location report to see which parts of that country are performing well for you and which parts aren't. You can then exclude the ones that aren't necessarily working for you, so that you're really using your budget on the locations in that country that are working well for you. Next up is device. So we've obviously got desktop, we've got mobile, we've got tablet. And Google will automatically try and show your ads on all 3 of those platforms, but it might be that your website doesn't necessarily convert very well from like people that are coming in from a mobile. So you can use this report to see how your conversions are taking place and whether you want to actually stop bidding on mobile traffic altogether and just purely focus on desktop and tablet. So this is a report that I definitely recommend that you look at, particularly if you haven't got a mobile version or a mobile-friendly website. There's not a huge amount of point kind of bidding so that your ads are being shown on mobile, because you can be wasting a lot of money on that. The next one is the search network. Now, again, Google will automatically set up your ads to show on the Google search engine, plus its search partners, so people like Ask and so on. Now, you can use the search network's report so you can see how your website, how your AdWords account is actually performing on Google versus the search partners. It might be that they're working both really, really well. It might be that the search partners is not working well for you and you're wasting so much budget on that. By simply switching it off if it's not converting, you can save lots and lots of money and actually spend that within the areas that are converting for you. The second to last one I want to talk about is the top paths report, which is in the search funnels reporting. Now, you might be looking at a keyword and thinking, I've been bidding on this for a few months now, it's spent X amount, it's just not converting for me. You could be completely wrong there, and you could be switching off a keyword that's actually an introducer or a kind of an assisting keyword to that kind of conversion path. If you use the top paths report, you can actually see how many times that particular keyword is assisting a conversion. So it might not be that it was the kind of first click that somebody came in it. It might be the second, third, fourth, fifth click, whatever. But if you switch that off and then you realise that that particular keyword is assisting a lot of conversions, you could see your overall conversions for that account start to drop down. So before you make that decision over pausing a keyword that isn't converting for you, make sure you're using that top paths report to see whether it's assisting any conversions for you. And then finally, custom reports within Google Analytics. If you are not using these, please go ahead and kind of have a play around and use them. The Google Analytics reporting functionality is absolutely awesome, but if you're not using custom reports, you're only seeing a kind of a minute bit of data. So custom reports you can set up to say, measure different metrics for different sessions. So if you're looking at a standard report and thinking that's not quite showing me what I want to see, switch over to a custom report, and 9 times out of 10 you will be able to create a report that's customized specifically for the reporting that you need. So I did actually present something similar on this topic at SES London earlier this year. So I've got the slides, I've got a write-up of this post as well. So if you want to go to http://koos.ai/SES London, you'll be able to get a copy of the slides that I presented at SES along with the blog post. Any questions, please do get in touch. Thank you very much for listening.